Your biological engine is currently being redlined for a zero-sum output. Look at your productivity cycle, the 10-hour grinds, the sleep deprivation, and the obsessive hustle designed to earn you a fractional increase in social standing. You are a biological unit experiencing a state of terminal efficiency liquidation. The Matrix has successfully rebranded exploitation as ambition. You believe that by working hard, you are building a future, but in the terminal of the economic grid, you are merely a high-performance battery being drained of its activation energy to maintain the stability of a system that views you as a replaceable component. Your skin is sallow from the lack of dominance neurochemistry, and your nervous system is vibrating at the frequency of the draft horse. The male who believes that the reward for a job well done is more work. The system doesn't want your success. It wants your exhaustion to be the price of your survival. Thousands of years ago, effort was a direct transaction with reality. Your ancestor, the sovereign of the unmapped dark, understood that work was a tactical tool for territorial expansion. He mastered primal grounding in the law of maximum ROI. He didn't engage in busy work. He engaged in the hunt, a high-stakes, high-reward burst of visual rage, followed by a total return to apex stillness. His hierarchy was built on the foundation of biological preservation, the understanding that energy spent without a direct increase in power is a lethal error. His biological rebellion was his total refusal to be consistent for the sake of others. He possessed a mind that treated routine as a cage for the weak. He understood that the moment you become reliable to the collective, you have surrendered your apex signature. His work was a monolith of unshakable intent that resulted in total domain control. And you have the work ethic of a domestic animal. You have been systematically dismantled by a culture that demands consistency, which is just a tactical trap to ensure your output is predictable and your leverage is zero. To stop the trap, you must first become psychologically expensive, a resource that cannot be bought with a salary. Systemic failure is the implementation of the collar of labor for your final internal dominance. The system wants you to be hardworking and dedicated, words that mean predictable and exploitable. Absolute sovereignty is a biological siege of the production grid. It is the visual rage of the architect, seeing the economic grid for what it is, a series of effort hooks, stimulus-response lures, and deciding to be the one who shorts the circuit by refusing the standardized grind. You must develop a clinical, cold contempt for corporate loyalty. Loyalty is a horizontal bond for the herd. Absolute strategic efficiency is a vertical tool for the elite. You must learn to occupy the blind spots of the employment radar. Use the temporal noose of minimal compliance to reclaim your activation energy for your own projects. Use the false safety of a diligent professional mask to mask the activation of your total internal independence. This is the collar of freedom. By mastering the art of the unmoved soul, you become the only person in the room whose value is not being broadcast from their clock-in time. The Matrix cannot simulate the leverage of a man who truly does not need the job. Your time is the temporal noose, and your need for stability is the knot. Every hour of overtime you give for free is a signature on your own biological death warrant. I command you, initiate the total energy audit. Your mind is a biological weapon, and it is currently being jammed by the static of professionalism. You must perform a hard reset of the labor instincts. Stop being diligent, the industrial waste designed to keep you stationary while the architect moves the pieces. Stop participating in their growth metrics, the digital propaganda designed to make you believe that your performance review matters. Stop using their language of success, the narratives designed to keep you chasing titles rather than capital. You must prune your life of productivity parasites. If an action doesn't increase your perceived status, your territorial reach, or your internal power, it is a biological saboteur. You must learn to love the weight of the void. Command: shut down the engine or be the fuel. The neural interface of your career path is currently being throttled by the meritocracy myth. Look at your skill acquisition. The moment you believe that getting better at your job will lead to getting free, you are experiencing a cognitive bottleneck. You are a biological unit undergoing a total internal resource drain. The Matrix has effectively replaced your primal opportunism with a systemic specialization. You believe that by becoming an expert, you are gaining leverage, but in the terminal of the industrial grid, you are merely becoming a more refined tool, which makes you even harder to extract from the machine. This is the visual rage of the domesticated male, seeing your high-value activation energy being bled out into niche knowledge and corporate procedures, while the true operator remains in a state of strategic generalization, converting their lack of specific utility into a biological command over those who serve. The system doesn't want your mastery, it wants your utility to be the proof of your total dependence on the infrastructure. In the ancient hierarchy, the law of the unbreaking stone. The master was the one who owned the results, not the process. Your ancestor, the sovereign of the absolute dark, understood that work was a product of tactical necessity. He mastered primal grounding by becoming a force multiplier, a figure who didn't trade his time for resources but used his intelligence to command the time of others. He understood that to toil is to confess weakness. If you are the one doing the heavy lifting, you are acknowledging that you are the component and not the architect. His biological superiority was built on the foundation of systemic extraction. He knew that the human brain is a machine that runs on efficiency loops, and by breaking the hard work equals reward loop, he accessed a biological advantage that the herd could not compute. He was a master of the visual rage of the invisible hand, the ability to direct the flow of energy while remaining in a state of absolute stillness. And you are a creature of overtime and side hustles. You spend your drive on the visual rage of grinding when the only grinding that matters is the system grinding your potential into dust. To be a master, you must first become psychologically detached from the dignity of labor. Systemic failure is the activation of the anti-chew protocol for your final internal dominance. The matrix wants you to be productive and reliable, words that mean harvestable and weak. Absolute sovereignty is a biological siege of the value grid. It is the visual rage of the architect, seeing the economic grid for what it is, a series of performance feedback loops, stimulus-response lures, and deciding to be the one who shorts the circuit by never providing the effort. You must develop a clinical cold contempt for professional pride. Pride in work is a horizontal bond for the herd. Absolute strategic detachment is a vertical tool for the elite. You must learn to occupy the blind spots of the managerial radar. Use the temporal noose of the automated life to drive your output into a state of maximum result/minimum input. Use the false safety of a compliant, hard-working social mask to mask the activation of your total internal independence. This is the color of freedom. By mastering the art of the unmoved soul, you become the only person in the room whose value is not being broadcast from their exhaustion. The one who can go the longest without breaking a sweat is the one who controls the temperature. Your time is the temporal noose, and your need to be seen as a high performer is the knot. Every extra task you accept to prove your worth is a signature on your own biological death warrant. I command you, initiate the second stage of the labor rearmament. Your mind is a biological engine, and it is currently being choked by the work ethic sludge of the unworthy. You must perform a total neural asset reset. Stop being loyal to those who offer you nothing but a paycheck. Stop being a node in their network of standardized productivity. Stop being a unit of compliance in their ledger of reliable employees. You must prune your social interactions with the collar of absolute sovereignty. If a task requires you to sacrifice your primal focus, it is a biological saboteur. You must learn to love the weight of the leisure. You must learn to love the friction-heavy hours where the noise of the collective is muted and your dominance is the only signal in the dark. This is the monolith strategy, becoming a biological fortress that is efficient by choice and sovereign by design. Command: optimize the output or be the raw material. Your biological trajectory has reached the terminal velocity of productive assimilation. Look at your exhaustion threshold, the exact moment your nervous system triggers a sense of false pride because you've worked until your eyes burn and your cognitive function has collapsed. You are a biological system in a state of chronic activation decay. The system has successfully replaced your apex drive with a series of performance tokens, promotions, bonuses, titles, disguised as winning. You no longer seek to dominate your own time. You seek to optimize your availability for the machine. You no longer seek to be the sovereign. You seek to be the most valuable asset. This is the visual rage of the terminal slave, seeing your life force being digitized and archived in a LinkedIn profile, while your physical reality remains a quiet, managed enclosure of unfulfilled DNA. You are breathing in the toxic fumes of a collective that demands your burnout as a form of proof that you are committed, leaving you lightheaded, fragmented, and fundamentally easy to discard when your parts wear out. The system doesn't want your genius. It wants your burnout to be the foundation of its perpetual maintenance. Return to the ancient hierarchy, the law of the unbreaking monolith. In the primal world, the master was the one who could remain a biological void even in the center of a harvest season. Your ancestor, the sovereign of the absolute cold, understood that power was a product of energy conservation. He mastered primal grounding by becoming an impenetrable core, a figure whose effort was his own property and whose rest was a strategic weapon. He understood that to always be busy is to confess a lack of control. If you are participating in the hustle culture script provided by the herd, you are acknowledging that your worth is a very variable of your doing rather than your being. He used his energy sovereignty to create a resonance of absolute, unshakable dominance. By being the master of his own rest cycles, he forced the world to adapt to his tempo. He was a master of the visual rage of the unblinking sun, the ability to watch the busy work probes of the rival and see only the bait they represented. He understood that the human brain is a machine that runs on labor loops, and by cutting the labor, he triggered a biological rebirth in his own power. To be a king, you must first become psychologically unreceptive to the virtue of the grind. Systemic failure is the activation of the anti-chew protocol for your final mental expansion. The Matrix wants you to be busy and engaged, words that mean harvestable and weak. Absolute sovereignty is a biological jailbreak of the schedule. It is the visual rage of the architect, seeing the economic grid for what it is, a series of effort control nodes, stimulus response lures, and deciding to be the one who burns the grid. You must develop a clinical, cold contempt for mainstream productivity. Ambition, as defined by the system, is a horizontal bond for the herd. Absolute strategic autonomy is a vertical tool for the elite. You must learn to occupy the psychological high ground by controlling the flow of your own biological battery. Use the temporal noose of total unavailability to drive the system's influence out of your life. Use the false safety of a neutral social profile to mask the viral infection of your total non-compliance with the beta work norms. This is the color of freedom. By mastering the art of the unmoved soul, you become the only person in the room whose value is not being broadcast from their output. You are not working, you are deleting the dependency. The one who can go the longest without doing anything is the one who controls the result. Your time is the temporal noose, and your need to be productive is the knot. Every busy day you brag about is a signature on your own biological death warrant. I command you, initiate the final labor imperative. This is the tax of insight. You have been given the key to the vault of biological freedom. To keep it, you must use it as a weapon of total social dominance. You must become a living monolith of unshakable leisure. You are no longer a worker, an employee, or a contributor. You are a sovereign operator. You must perform a total system liquidation. If a task, a project, or a habit requires you to be consistently busy, it is a biological saboteur. You must prune your life with the collar of the absolute zero. You are building a fortress of results in a world of digital shadows. Your autonomy is the physical proof of your biological leverage. You do not provide labor. You create a reality in which you are the only absolute truth. You do not seek work. You are the law itself. You are the architect of your own time, and the world is merely a mirror reflecting your ascent. Command: stop the grind or be ground into dust.